New England at New York this time.
Yes, very important game in the Take-a-thon series.
For sure. This is the Caleb Bowl or whatever.
Super Bowl
whatever
rematches. Super Bowl rematches.
Yes, the Super Bowl rematch, many years removed, it feels like. Because this is a 33.5 over-under and basically a pick 'em. This game is really simple, Andrew. It's Mondre on one side, Quan on the other side. That's it to me. Period. End of story. And I don't see, I just don't see like anything else to really discuss from a fantasy perspective. But picking the game is going to be interesting. Who you got? Or I got to go first because you went first last time. Give me the Giants, man. I think they showed fight. I think New England's is cheeks. I think they're all cheeks. But when teams are cheeks and they seem to be just equally inept on offense, I will take the team that has a slightly better defense and is at home. That's my feelings on it.
It's a hard game to pick, for sure. Yeah. Looking at other options, man, I'd have to see if Darius Slayton is even going to play because he got knocked out of the game, some kind of arm injury. But Darius Slayton had himself a pretty solid game last week. I have to say, give him his props. But he's not a guy you're really starting, so maybe I won't even bother with that one. But, yeah, like you said, it's Ramondre, it's Saquon. Tommy DeVito, please don't slam him into your lineups if you're desperate.
You can't be that desperate.
It is okay. So
it's tough out here in the quarterback streets, though.
With being the level of Giants fan that I am inundated with Giants content in my daily life. If Tommy DeVito's name was, Roger Smith, no one would give a shit. But because he's a Jersey dude with who's Italian, and he did
he's been the best story of this whole garbage season. He's been the best story. At least, look, I'll tell you this. Whatever, Daniel Jones was more talented at one point before he completely fell off the wagon and just lost his ability to do anything. But one thing that Tommy DeVito does not seem to do is the face of pure bitch.
Yeah, he doesn't.
That you saw from Daniel Jones on the sideline. Just that face.
He's not shell-shocked. Like Daniel Jones was shell-shocked. Tommy DeVito is not shell-shocked, and hopefully he never becomes that. And
he knows what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, he knows that, hey, I'm not here to, take us to a Super Bowl or whatever. Like, he seems to just be enjoying his time out there and playing loose.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's fun to see, but I got to put this back into perspective because I love it. I'm Italian-American myself. It's great to see Tommy Pastrami doing his thing and, being like Rocky out there, taking hits and hitting back. But the Giants won. It was really two reasons. A, we'll give Tommy, his Stromboli and say he didn't turn the ball over. Huge. That's huge. That's a lot how the Giants won last year. They didn't turn the ball over. It took the Giants 6 motherfucking turnovers to win, and ended up being by more because of a pick 6 at the end. But essentially, win by one possession.
Yeah, you win the possession battle by that much and barely win a game. That tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah,
and I will never take a victory away from a team, especially a team that needs it. But the story of that previous game was a lot more about Washington just not
Sam Howell
just not doing it, just not getting it done.
The completely stupid doing his best bad Josh Allen impression, where he tries to do way too much, flings the ball when he doesn't need to. The Giants defense was playing hard and putting their head in there, knocking balls out. Just
if there's talent on either side of the ball in New York, it's on defense, in my opinion.
And that's why this is a hard game to pick, and I'm spending way too much time on it, because one of Mac Jones or Bailey Zappi is not exactly burning, setting the world on fire with how good they are. Another good defensive performance could lead to another win for the Giants, and this is a team's an offense that really sucks. But New England is off the bye, and they have a pretty respectable defense themselves. This game is going to come down to really one extra turnover. Whoever gets that,
who wants it least?
Yeah.
So who you got, man? You're taking us on a long journey to get to your pick here.
Okay. The Patriots are going to end up winning this game. They're coming off bye, and I just think they're going to be motivated to get this win, and they're gonna expose Tommy for some rotten pastrami, and I hate to see it because I love the story, but I think it was a kind of a 1 week, short movie, a short film that we're going to be able to see.
Picking the Giants to win feels really gross. That just feels like a terrible pick. I don't know. It's a pick. I'm just going to stick with it, try to get some separation. I see what you're doing last 2 weeks. A little bit of emotional hedging, just picking against your Giants. Maybe I should do that more, and I wouldn't be so doubly pissed every time my teams fuck up. But I digress. That comes to the end of our bonus football.
Yeah.
We haven't got into the Sunday games yet. Those were the 3 Thanksgiving games, and then we have that random Black Friday game, and obviously New England and Giants. We wanted to breeze through that, but that was that'd be the first of the Sunday games. But now that we're into like what would feel like the real football day, I gotta say, these are ugly, man. We got a lot of low over-unders and a lot of bad quarterback play coming up.
Yeah, the over-unders this year are a direct correlation to the quarterback injuries.
Yeah. And it starts right here in Cincinnati. Pittsburgh at Cincy.
Jake Browning versus Kenny goddamn Pickett. At least we could say blame Canada, Canada, and they got rid of him.
Goodbye, Matt Canada. You suck, eh? I guess. Do you think this offense gets better with a different play caller, or is it a personnel issue?
It's a Kenny Pickett issue more. I think it's 2 things. I think it's that Matt Canada wanted to like outsmart everybody and think that his one read system was like good, and it sucked. Why does Pittsburgh never throw the ball over the friggin' middle? Like, everything's a speed out.
Maybe they'll start now.
They have to. They need to let their receivers do a little bit more than these like little 5-yard routes and trust Kenny Pickett a little bit more. Maybe Kenny Pickett has a little bit more talent in his body than Matt Canada wanted to let him show. And God, they just need to feature Jalen Warren because they
need to feature the running game. That's the best part of their offense. Like I thought the last 2 weeks they were actually showing some good things. Like the runs to the outside were finding some success. I don't think Kenny Pickett has any talent. I was literally there with you when he was drafted, and we didn't think much of him at the time. And certainly it's showing it to be the
do you remember my analysis of that?
I think you called him a tiny hand bitch.
No, I can't say that because I have very small hands, and I can fling that ball.
So. I don't remember what you said.
It was tiny. It was the lady lumps of his girlfriend not being prominent, and I was like, this guy has no confidence. It's gonna be terrible.
Oh my god, I do remember that, bro. That is you know what?
Pretty messed up, honestly, but
they you know what? But they should have listened to you in Pittsburgh. They should listen to you in Pittsburgh.
I tried to call Mike. He wasn't answering.
I'm about to tell you, bro. Whatever, we all come from different walks of life, and I'm sure that she's a really nice lady. But if you're a D1 college quarterback who's about to get drafted high in the NFL, your girl really isn't a looker like that. I think that says a lot about you, because you obviously had some opportunities. So,
well, was she the baddest bitch in Yinstown? I don't know.
I doubt it.
No,
I mean, there have been some some hot ladies that have come out of much sadder sack holes of society than that. They find you if you have fame and you're the big man on campus, they will find you.
They'll transfer to the school just to get you.
I wouldn't know anything about that.
No.
But it might, in a different life and a much younger man, it sounds cool. So on the Cincy side, say it ain't so, Joe.
Well, hold on real quick. I got a question on the Pittsburgh side. Are you even starting Najee at this point, or is he just completely like bench?
I don't want to. Jaylen Warren's the better back, and like he still isn't fully out snapping him, but it's a performance thing. Like Najee can only give you good games if he's voluming his way to rumble for 75 all-purpose yards or whatever.
And if he falls in the end zone.
Maybe he falls into the end zone or whatever. But like he's not going to get that kind of volume anymore, so no, I don't want to start him.
It's interesting it'll be interesting to see what whoever their operating OC ends up being, what he does.
Yeah, they said it was the quarterback's coach. I can't remember his name.
Hopefully, I don't know. Hopefully that he likes Jaylen Warren. I don't know.
Dude, there's no way they're not going to use Warren. The minimum expectation for Warren going forward is what you saw last week. Not the results, because he got a lot of his money on a big play.
Yeah, one big play.
But that usage is like the minimum going forward. Najee's.
But that's the thing about Jaylen Warren is he can do that. Najee can't.
Right. So they're going to want to do that.
Right. Okay, so moving on.
So the Joe thing, it's sad. It hurts all the fantasy options.
Yeah.
In Cincinnati. We talked about T, really bad vibes. Obviously, he may or may not play. I'm not starting him even if he does.
Nah.
I guess like with Jamar, he's super talented. He's the big dog. You got to figure an unknown quarterback is going to be really focused on feeding the big dogs. So like he's fine to throw out there with some capped expectations. Like, I kind of see it akin to like, think of how Devontae Adams is with Aiden O'Connell, right? Like great receiver, can have some big games, but, is ultimately kind of nerfed. My question, Andrew, is how are we feeling about Mixon? Is he still viable in the way that he's been all year? Like, are we really resetting him to be more of a 3 versus a 2? Like, how are you feeling about him?
I think Mixon will be fine. I think that he's going to get the same kind of volume, and it's not like Mixon was very efficient regardless. And he still found ways to put together decent games. Mixon, I think, will be just fine.
They're going to want to lean on him.
Yeah, potentially. It's hard to know what they're going to do. I mean, logic would say that they're going to do that more, but I don't know, man. We need to like hire some analytics team and say, does more volume and less efficiency equal more fantasy points? Like typically not. I would guess no. It just kind of evens out.
It depends. I would say, dude, I'm no fucking math major, trust me. I'm more of a humanities guy. But if the efficiency doesn't crater like crazy, volume is still king in fantasy football.
Sure. So with he's talented enough to make some plays off that, the offense as a whole is probably going to struggle to get down in those.
It's a 34 pick 'em, so that tells you what you need to know.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to. Let's put it this way. It seems like a 2-touchdown game for Mixon is out of the question, but he could get one.
Yeah.
And that's still fine. Probably going to set up some screens for him. I don't know. It's hard to know how conservative they're going to play it.
That being said, bro, who you have in this shitburger, snot knocker, AFC North setting offenses back to 1975 game?
So what was the spread?
Pick 'em. It's Pittsburgh -1 technically, but
okay. So I don't care about that. Yeah, give me Pittsburgh again, man.
Yeah, they choked it against Cleveland, but Cleveland's defense is amazing, and I do think Matt Canada was part of the problem in Pittsburgh. I agree with you. I'm with you on this one. I think Pitt wins an ugly one. Plus, like I just think that Cincy's spirit is broken. Like they just kind of started putting their season back together, and then this happens. It's hard. It's hard to emotionally get off the mat that way. Next game, also divisional game, also close to pick. Jacksonville at Houston. Basically a pick 'em, but they're giving Jacks 1.5 on the road. Trevor Lawrence heard us talking shit. He heard us on the QB18 thing. He heard us on the fade Trevor Lawrence. Huge game.
Once people started benching him, he said,
exactly.
"Through this, I'm playing for real."
I mean, we play with probably the very last person to bench Trevor Lawrence in our league. Finally threw him on the bench. Didn't matter. He still won, but T-Law, he can have big games in the right matchups, obviously. So I guess that's the question here. Is this the right matchup again? 24th ranked defense for Houston on the year.
This game should be fun because we've got a very nice, very good Jags team. And on the other side of the ball, other side of the field, whatever, we've got another good team. And I don't know, have both these teams been good at the same time ever? Like,
not that I can remember. I think maybe the Blake Bortles Magic years might have had like 1 year of overlap with like the Deshaun years potentially, but I'm not sure about that. I just know that both of these franchises have stunk for quite some time.
Yeah. So this is an interesting game, dude. I think that you're starting pretty much just all the players. Like,
yeah, neither defense really scares you, although Jax's front is pretty good.
I think Jax's pass rush is better than their run stop. But like CJ has proven to be like pretty much MVP candidate. This is one of those games, man. Like all the usual suspects, I feel comfortable starting. Like really.
On the Houston side, I have some interesting questions. I agree with you on Jacksonville. Like everybody that you were going to start, you're starting. So Dame Pierce is going to be back. Do you think that Dev Singletary still has this RB room in a chokehold, or are they going to go back to some sort of split?
I think the split, although it may not be 50-50, is inevitable.
Yeah.
No, I don't think most NFL teams, besides the Giants, and a few others, Cincinnati being one of them, they don't really prefer to have one running back. Like they want to have a second guy to take the pressure off, take the workload off, ideally. So yes, I think that Dame Pierce is going to get in and be a bit of a thorn in the side of Devin Singletary managers, but I'm not. It does not going to stop me from starting Devin Singletary.
So Singletary has had 31 and 24 opportunities, respectively, owning this backfield 100%. With Dame Pierce back, over under 20 touches for Devin Singletary.
I'm going to say under. I'd say he gets like 17.
I agree with you. I think it's under as well. One note of caution, just to be a little devil's advocacy here. He had 16 touches the week before for 3 fantasy points.
That's rough.
So hopefully he does better with a little bit of the lower volume than he has before. Dev Singletary is a very frustrating fantasy player because he seems to have a stretch every year. And you don't know how long those flames are going to last. But here we are. You went first last time, right? Or did I?
Well, we kind of both agreed on Pittsburgh, but I'm just gonna go ahead. I'm gonna pick the Jags in this game. I think it's kind of gonna be a coaching battle, and Doug Peterson is going to be able to just edge out DeMeco Ryans a little bit. With the experience that he has versus DeMeco Ryans. DeMeco Ryans seems like he's going to be a really good coach. Doug Peterson's already a really good coach. I just think he's going to be able to make one or two better calls throughout the game that's going to turn the game on him. And yeah, the Jags are really a solid team, and so is Houston, but I don't know. I feel like the Jags are going to be able to pull out this game. Very close game, though.
I agree with you. I'm really tempted just to flip it just for the sake of being different, but I actually do agree with you there. Man, it's just CJ's been awesome, man, and he's already, in my opinion, the best quarterback in the division, even with a small sample size for him. So I normally lean towards the best quarterback in a matchup. But I just think that Jacksonville is 1 year ahead of Houston in terms of team maturity and build.
Right. Yeah.
So I think it's going to be a close battle, but I think Jacksonville pretty much wins the division on this win. Pretty much, or takes control of the division.
Yeah.
NOLA at Atlanta. Pick 'em. 42 over under. Classic NFC South battle.
This kind of matchup, man. This kind of matchup.
It's all disgusting. It's disgusting. Carr's in the concussion protocol, so we might see Jameis. We might not. Honestly, as fantasy players, we would probably prefer to see Jameis. Usual suspects in NOLA are in. The only debatable thing for me is Taysom Hill. We've seen his floor. We've seen his floor, which is basically nothing when he doesn't get goal line and touchdowns. Is this? Do you see? Because I really didn't watch the game all the way through, but do you see that as hey, they kind of change up the game plan with Jameis, or was this just a one weird blip thing for Taysom Hill?
Well, I think it was more of the game script just didn't really fit for him.
Yeah, the game just got away from them.
But I think in a divisional game like this, you better believe Taysom Hill is going to be involved.
I hope so. I was, for whatever reason, I could never figure out a tight end in a league. And, I was just a day late and $1 short on every pickup trying to get fab for all these actually good tight ends. and they ended up taking a big swing and trading for Taysom Hill. So I hope.
I think this is going to be a good game for Taysom Hill. I do.
On the other side, we got a little snip, snap going back and forth between quarterbacks. It sounds like Desmond Ritter's the starter. Hooray.
Great. We're super excited.
I don't care. I don't want to start anybody that's not named Bijan. Is that fair? Can I just officially do that?
Yes. Okay. Where's Lattimore's health at? That'd be my differentiating factor on Drake London.
I don't know that. I didn't deep dive on Nola.
Let's put it this way: if there's no Lattimore, I'm fine starting London. If Lattimore's guarding him, I don't really want to start him.
Lattimore is a really physical corner and does well on the big guys, so that tracks and that matches up well. I just with Desmond Ridder at quarterback, I don't know, especially in like a low over under divisional snot knocker. Yeah, I'm just for me, I'm Bijan and out. But if you want the upside of Drake, don't start Kyle Pitts. Do not do it. Don't do it.
Yeah, this is not a good spot for Pitts. And I will say though, real quick on the Nola side, Michael Thomas is out. His yearly injury came a little later this year than usual. So that's cool. You got some bonus football out of Mike Thomas.
Classic.
But especially if Carr ends up being the starter, I think a fantastic spot start daily fantasy player, Shaheed.
Yes.
I can see Shaheed having a huge play for a touchdown. It's in my bones.
I like Shaheed just going forward in the season, but I don't know. Like I think
A.T. Perry's more of the Mike Thomas replacement.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what I was going to say is that I think Shaheed is ascending with or without Mike Thomas because I think Mike Thomas's targets, a lot of them are just going to end up going to Kamara, to be honest. But
or Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill. But yeah, no, I like Shaheed. That's a good call out. I will start, but I will put a qualifier on it, Andrew. If Derek Carr plays, I actually like Nola in this game. I think they'll play better defense and that they're just going to play a more conservative brand of offense that kind of like out Falcons the Falcons. I'm afraid that if Jameis plays, he's just going to make mistakes and turn the ball over and Atlanta will variance their way to one. That's the qualifier I put on it. Where are you at with it?
I don't need no qualifiers. I'm taking New Orleans.
Okay.
Atlanta is basically just Chargers East. They're just choke artists, man. They're gonna lose. What they do best.
I hope so because I hate them. Speaking of NFC South teams, Tampa Bay is actually going to Indy for their once tri-yearly time of doing that. It's basically a pick 'em, 2.5 at home. Yeah, it's a win-win / lose-lose for me. 43.5 over under. I will pick the game, but don't ask me who's my favorite. You're not supposed to pick a favorite kid. But is Baker a streamer against a middling defense for you? Or
Baker's never really a streamer for me because Baker's the kind of player, he's the kind of quarterback that could legit end up getting you single-digit points. And I never want that low of a floor from my QB position.
That's fair. He's actually been, for the most part, despite the optics of it from a fantasy football perspective, and honestly from a real life perspective for the Buccaneers, he's been fine. Honestly, yeah. Baker has been the true reason that we've lost one out of our I would say probably 2 out of our 4 losses. Or 5 losses. I don't know. I'm tired, and I don't have the records in front of me, but I know we had a bye week in there somewhere. But I really don't see Baker as truly the problem. You're right though. He's doesn't do anything with his legs. Very conservative. His ceiling is pretty much like 202, which you really don't want that as a ceiling from a quarterback. Mm-hmm. The offense is not great. So I think that with quarterback as bad as it is, I think you can do it. But I think you're right. It is a relatively low floor. On the Indy side, everybody that you were going to start, which is really only 2 people, is already in.
What about Josh Downs though?
Yeah, and that was going to be my question.
I would feel fine starting Josh Downs in this game.
I think it's situational. Josh Downs, I think I don't know if his ceiling is great because of the passing volume and just the kind of targets that he gets, but I do think he gives you a pretty good floor. And I'll tell you what, I mean, just to give you a clean comparison, I would start him over Chris Godwin on the other side.
Okay. I see those two as pretty close.
I think between the possession receivers, I think Josh is the better bet to have a big play and get a touchdown right now.
Yeah, Josh Downs this season has at least shown on a few occasions that he can bust a big play, where Chris Godwin just feels like he's a catch and fall, which sucks.
Yeah, because that really shouldn't be his game.
I mean, think so, but that's like what it's become.
Yeah, and it's a shame because I think he has more in his bag than that. But yeah, I think Josh Downs is a fine start. Levante David looks like he might miss. That's tough.
Do you want to pour one out for your guy?
Yeah. I do. I'll pour one out for the memory. So obviously, not everybody is like up on the defensive side of the ball. This is a fantasy football podcast, but Darius Leonard got cut today. He prefers to be called Shaq Leonard, but I want to remember him as Darius Leonard because that's when we had all the good times together. I mean, this man was a fucking force on the field. He was a turnover machine. He was all over the place. He was making tackles. Over the last couple seasons, he had an injury. I don't remember exactly what the injury was. I want to say it was like back injury. It was like a back injury or something. And dude, he just never looked the same. And I know that he's like a really kind of inspirational kind of player, like when you sort of get to know him, because he had issues with his mental health like early on, and he was pretty outspoken with that and tried to be an example. So he's a cool dude, locker room dude, all-time vibes guy. Like he was one of the big reasons that Indy had a fired defense for a couple seasons there, and when they dragged the ghost of Phil Rivers to the playoffs. That being said, ever since the back injury, he just never, he just looks a step slow on the field. He was losing snaps to Zaire Franklin, and so finally they ended up waiving him, which is tough. It's tough to see. That's one of the faces of that defense, but I think ultimately he was just more name than game right now. But yeah, pour one out for the homie.
It's always a shame when you have a beloved player get pretty much injured into oblivion.
Yeah.
Reminiscing here, and I'll keep it quick because it's off topic, but when Victor Cruz busted his knee in the back of the end zone, that Monday night game against Philly, I was very distraught because I knew it was it. I knew it was over. And I even remember where we were when that happened.
It was a Buffs, was it not?
We were at a Froggers playing pool.
Froggers.
Yeah. Yeah, we were with Kaysen. So, yeah, I actually had him on my fantasy team that year, which, also hurt. But, yeah, man, it hurts even worse when it's a beloved player that, you knew it was over. You keep dragging it out. Maybe it'll still work, but it's over. And then finally you just cut ties and it's like,
one time for the players we loved and lost. Cruz.
Cruz. I see salsa in my dreams, but dude, let's pick this goddamn game. I'll go first.
Please.
I'm gonna pick the Bucks. And that's all vibes. So go ahead.
Dude, we got to pick some different teams here.
What's the spread? You said it's a pick 'em, right?
It's 2.5. So
okay.
Yeah,
Bucks, they'll cover.
I think I have a feeling that we're gonna separate throughout this, but I had Tampa already. I'm not gonna deviate from that. I think Tampa ends up winning the game, and the only analysis that I have for that is I think that their defense can hold up against Indy better than Indy's defense can hold up against them. I don't actually anticipate this game hitting the over, but I just think they do just barely enough to win. I'll be honest with you. Honestly, we got drubbed up by San Fran, but I don't think the defense really looked that bad. They had some good moments against the NFL's most efficient machine. So I think you're right. I think Tampa does enough to win it.
Tampa wins on the back of a defensive touchdown in this game.
Hey, dude, Gardner loves to serve them up. He loves to serve them up.
Yep.
Carolina at Tennessee. They're giving Tennessee
skip. I don't want to talk about the game.
Skip it. Dude, they're giving Tennessee 3.5 at home. That should tell you everything you need to know about how sad both of these teams are.
Yeah.
And especially Tennessee that wasn't supposed to be sad. And I got a cough, so I'll let you go first.
All right. So, in this game, the question is, who you starting? Who you starting? On the Carolina side, we'll start there. Carolina is pretty much like you're starting Adam Thielen just because he gets in a lot of volume. And man, I don't want to start Chuba. I don't want to start Miles.
I don't want anybody.
The rest of their receivers are just Mingo hasn't really come on at all. Hopefully that changes at some point, maybe next year. I don't think it's going to happen this year.
I actually think this is a good Thielen spot here.
No, Thielen, I'm fine with Thielen. I said the other receivers.
Well, I was saying because you said volume play, but I actually think that I think Thielen has a good game.
Tennessee has been very generous.
Wink, wink.
Tennessee side. I'll ask you because I don't have any Derrick Henry shares. Where are you at, man? Where are you at with is he still a king? Has he been usurped? Like what's going on in the Game of Thrones of fantasy football?
Derrick Henry is a pawn. He is a pawn that has been stuck in this power grab from Tennessee where they chose to keep him locked away in an ivory tower. Your team isn't going anywhere. You're starting Will Levis, who, whatever. Maybe he's got a little juice. We don't know, but he's not a good quarterback today. And he's wallowing away on this shit team. The only hope for Henry, which, by the way, is my hope, is he does have some good matchups coming down the stretch. I still believe. I chose to believe this, and it's off of nothing else other than just, my feelings on the matter. I still believe in Derek December. I still believe in Derrick Henry in the cold and snowy weather. So I got my whole fantasy season riding on that. We'll see if I'm right or wrong, but I do think that Henry has a good game here. He fucking better because it's Carolina Panthers, and
it's the matchup for it.
If he doesn't, then we in trouble, partner. Because I don't know where else it's coming from. But I actually do like Henry in this game. You can always throw Nuke out there if you want to.
Sure.
He gets the volume. He can break one away, but that's about it. It's a pretty linear offense.
Yeah, I would be in agreement there. I'm ready to pick it if you are.
Yes, and you were a gentleman and went first last time. I'm going to take Tennessee at home. They are cheeks. They suck. But I think that they have a team coming in that sucks potentially even worse than they do.
Yes, that is correct. And it doesn't matter. Carolina is getting their second win against this trash bag team, Tennessee, who Bryce Young has been pretty bad. Been a bit deer in the headlights. Will Levis is far removed from that 4-touchdown performance against.
That always felt fluky.
Atlanta's just choke artists, man. That's the thing about that. He's not exactly a polished quarterback in his own right. And I feel like Carolina is going to see an opportunity to win a game here, and they're going to be able to pull out their second win.
Yeah, and you know what? I love the pick, man, because I got to say I didn't really realize it when I first was reading through because it was such a low over-under game. It's a 3.5 line, so you will win even if Carolina does not win. There's a scenario where you can. So I'm a little nervous about the pick, but I still feel like if Tennessee goes back to their roots, stops just trying things out with Will Levis, and they jam the ball into Derrick Henry's belly 28 times, I think they can pull out an ugly one.
Yeah, that's how they're gonna be able to win this one, for sure.
Cleveland at Denver. Another basically pick 'em, 2.5 home for Denver. Another disgusting over/under. Hooray, 35. Andrew, before we get into this game, because there's really not that much. There's not really a ton to talk about. I have a question. What do Cooper Kupp, Mike Evans, Puka Nacua, Brandon Ayuk, Amon-Ra St. Brown, what do they all have in common?
They're wide receivers.
That is true. They also have something else in common. All of them have less touchdowns than Cortland Sutton.
Yeah. Cortland Sutton has been just like a walking outlier.
Dude, it won't stop. I keep waiting for it to stop, but it doesn't stop. It's exactly one per game.
Let's ride Broncos country. Unlimited all the way. Unlimited touchdowns for Cortland Sutton. Yeah. This game, man, it feels like this of all games is the game where Cortland Sutton gets you like 3 for 22.
It really feels like that should be what it is. I mean, obviously Cleveland, if the Jets have the best secondary, they might have the second best. And obviously like some of that is just coming from their ridiculous pass rush too. But I don't know. Cleveland side, to me, it's just Ford and get the fuck out. Like I don't, I don't really have a ton of interest in really anybody with their quarterback play.
I gotta say, Njoku has quietly been decent lately. He got 15
That's fair.
targets. 15 targets.
How many?
15.
Jesus.
From DTR. That's insane. Yeah, are they high quality? No, but 15 targets. I'm not gay, but 15 targets is 15 targets. Like, dude. If Dorian Thompson-Robinson is going to continue to just slam the ball at Njoku's face, and if you look at his numbers, like lately, keep in mind it's tight end within the tight end landscape. It's been decent. It's been decent lately.
No, I agree with you there. That's like, and especially with tight ends, you don't look at tight ends the way you look at receiver pass catchers, because the expectations for the position is lower, and it's. I've never paid much attention to tight end coverage numbers and defenses. Maybe that makes me a bad fantasy player. I just don't really do it. Like, I just think it's so situational, and if you want to get your tight end the ball, you can get your tight end the ball, in my opinion. So
yeah,
even
schemed up plays for tight ends you can do.
Yeah, even in a really low over under game and what you expect to be a snot knocker, definitely think that's a fine start. That's a good call out.
So you're not you do not want to touch Amari Cooper then with DTR?
I don't. You're talking about 15 targets to tight end. That tells me everything I need to know right there. He's not trying that outside matchup. Cleveland, it's a 2-person fantasy offense. In that scenario, I do not want to start Russ in this game. No, thank you.
Yeah. Me either. I never really want to start Russ.
Yeah.
But this is not a place to stream him.
No, not at all. So who you got?
Oh, man.
It's another tough one.
It's a tough one. And the Broncos have been on a great win streak, and they're about to get their face smashed in. They're about to get their balls pushed into their ass by a great defense. Cleveland's going to win.
Wow. So and when you say that, you're just saying from a defensive standpoint, you don't think that Cleveland's going to go crazy and beat them by 10 points or something.
Well, what's the spread?
2.5.
No, I think it's going to be like freaking 19-14. Not even that's not enough field goals in that score. 19-15 Cleveland kind of game. Weird game.
I'm not. This is another game that I was really on the fence about, and I didn't have strong convictions one way or another. I'll go the other way. I'll take Denver.
Let's ride. Let's ride Broncos country.
They're at home. I think that they have a average quarterback, which is more than they can say in Cleveland right now.
Do they have a Myles Garrett?
They don't have a Myles Garrett, but I think their defense, outside of absolutely getting plastered by Miami, is actually pretty decent. And I just think they make one more play. I just think they make one more play.
This is the game for that. That's why it's a small spread.
Rams at Zona, 44.5. A lot of injury and coming back from injury and stuff going on in this game, so I'll just kind of run through it really quickly. McVay said Kupp has a chance to play. McVay.
That means he will be out for 3 weeks.
Yeah. Puka's day-to-day with a shoulder. But it seems like at least I feel like he's got a good chance to go. Kyron is back, and they just went ahead and cut Rel Hendo completely. So that kind of tells you everything you need to know from that perspective. Kyron is right back to his inefficient but getting everything self. So I guess in this game, Andrew, is there anything that you kind of wanted to touch on the Rams side?
Where has Higbee been?
I mean, on the field a lot. He's just not involved in the actual passing game.
It's just like weird because he was so involved for so long, and then nothing. You know.
You think it just kind of came? Do you think it all just kind of came to a head where he just kind of became like sort of a low key jag?
I just think that the offensive focus was like, all right, we do need, believe it or not, we do need another target that's not named Cooper Kupp, and then Puka Nacua showed up. So they were like, all right, sweet, you can block. Yeah, I mean, the Rams side of the ball is, of course, it's Cooper Kupp if he plays.
And if Kupp doesn't play, Puka's like a super smash start.
Yeah, then you start getting into Tutu Atwell territory of like
potentially.
This is a matchup where wide receivers can thrive.
Yeah.
So he's a spot start kind of deal. Arizona, man, I would be like very happy to start Kyler Murray.
Yep. He looks a little rusty for throwing the ball, but he's running the ball a lot, which is more than I thought he would do. So
his fantasy floor is so high. So
yeah,
you can always start him.
And I'm glad I picked him up in the other league that we're in. I mean, yeah. I've been absolutely devastated by injuries all year long. Joe Burrow,
QB position has been shaky, to say the least.
Yeah. So at least I've got Kyler, to float me. But
Kyler start. Connor, you still got to keep starting Connor. And then Trey McBride, man, I want him in my lineup. He's coming on and he's getting targets.
Too involved. He's too good. At the detriment of Hollywood, it seems. We got 2 straight duds. I mean,
three.
You got Jack. 3, but 2 straight with Kyler.
Okay, fair. Yep.
And you've got jackholes like me that held on to this guy all season long, waiting for Kyler Murray to come back. Like, ooh, baby, it's gonna happen. Kyler and Hollywood stack. Let's go. It's not been great. I got to tell you, it has not been great. I'm concerned, especially because Michael Wilson got a setback with a shoulder too. Yeah, so you would think that even more targets would come to Hollywood, but he hasn't been getting the
more. Rondale Moore gets the bomb touchdown that you think would be Marquise Brown.
What do you think it is?
Dude, I don't know. I mean, I think there's a good chance that Kyler is just not targeting him because there's coverage. He's like, double coverage because they know I want to throw it there. So he's just not doing it. I think that within his absence, I believe that Kyler has matured. And, one of his worst and best plays simultaneously is throwing the ball into triple coverage to DeAndre Hopkins. That worked out, but that was like a sign of major immaturity and desperation.
He's fighting for his job, at this point. Like, this back half of the season for him is he's auditioning for his own job, or auditioning for maybe somebody else's job.
Winning games helps him not lose his job because that puts them out of the top 2 QB sweepstakes, but they're right firmly planted there. So
this draft season is going to be hilarious. I cannot wait. It's going to be the best. It's going to be the best.
It's going to be very, very fun. Like Marquise Brown, I just wanted to look this up real quick. 4 targets and then 5 targets respectively with Kyler. So I think that's brutal. That's got to turn around. That's got to turn around at some point. I think it's going to turn around sooner than later. I am not going to project a big game for Marquise Brown, but I'm going to say he gets at least 7 targets in this game. We'll see what that amounts to.
I hope so. I got to see it, but I got to see it. All right. Do you want to pick this thing? I think you went first last time.
I don't remember.
I believe you did. I am going to go with the Rams. I don't know if Cooper Kupp's going to play or not, but man, I just think that McVay is going to have a good plan coming in. I think that they're the better team, and even though like Zona clearly with Kyler is a better football team, I just don't think they're great. So I think the Rams eke one out. What do you think?
Give me Zona in this game.
All right.
I think Zona is. I think Kyler's gonna third time's the charm. I mean, they did win that game when he first came back against, of course, Atlanta, because Atlanta's stupid. But yeah, I just some explosiveness from Zona. The Rams defense is still very inexperienced, and honestly, so is Arizona. They're nothing special. But I don't know. I just feel like a game like this, it's going to come down to the wire, and I think that a Matt Prater field goal will win it for him.
I like it. All righty. Next matchup, we got Kansas City coming off a big loss.
Yep.
But still heavy favorites in Vegas with a 43.5 over under. They're giving KC 8.5. O'Connell and the Raiders are in trouble here. I think a pissed off Kansas City coming into their area is not fantastic. I think for me, it's Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs, get out of there. I don't really know that there's much analysis to be had on that side. On the Kansas City side, it is the usual suspects, but I do, I guess, maybe not have a question, but more of a commentary. At the age of 34, we got introduced to a new player last week, or yesterday, actually. Travis Kelce, the run blocker. Yeah. I didn't love that. It actually seemed to work, which makes me even more concerned about it, because they were running the rock pretty good last night. But fantasy managers definitely do not want to see Travis Kelce with his hand in the dirt all the time. So did that seem like just a matchup-based slow down Phillies D-line type of situation, or do you think that KC is doing some weird shit where they want to trust their stable of crappy wide receivers for some weird reason?
No, I think that was more of just like the way that Andy Reid was calling plays last night felt like maybe he had some kind of a matchup advantage doing that. I don't see a world where the most unreliable, statistically as well, the stats do back this up, the most unreliable receiving room in the NFL.
Yeah, because they led the league in drops, right?
Yeah, they lead the league in drops by a good margin.
Jesus.
I don't see how you can keep going back to guys like, MVS and Mecole Hardman. And we had a very, very brief Sky Moore sighting last night who actually caught a pass. The guy sucks.
As a GM, Andrew, how do you let that happen? I mean, you're
just not a good scout. You're just not a good.
You have the best quarterback. You actually have a great defense now, which you haven't had the last couple of years. The line is solid. Your running game is it's okay, but you have everything else, and the guys who are supposed to be catching passes are all ass. Ass.
You're just not you're sometimes
Travis Kelce, of course.
Sometimes GMs have a blind spot, and it seems like wide receiver is a blind spot for this GM. Like, I think Rashee Rice is a good player.
He's got like to me, he's the only guy that even fucking belongs in the NFL. in that room.
He's
quite frankly.
The only reason why a guy like MVS lives in the NFL is because he can stretch the field very well.
Take the top off.
And then you saw what happened when he got wide open and he dropped the damn ball. Like, dude, that's unacceptable. You're an NFL receiver, for Christ's sake, and the guy he couldn't have handed it to you better.
Yeah, I mean, he was running hot. Like that's the only excuse. I'm not excusing it whatsoever, but he was still in overexertion speed, but
it's hard to catch a ball that way. I get it, but
you also could have slowed down. You had time to take a couple big steps and set yourself up for the catch.
You also are an NFL receiver that does this exact job.
Yeah,
every single day. You're in practice every single day.
It's out of control. Bullshit.
So whatever. I can fan and be, I don't understand the plight of the NFL receiver. Whatever, dude.
But that is the thing that if Kansas City, it's already holding Pat Mahomes back, the fantasy player.
Yeah.
But if Kansas City does not make it back to the Super Bowl, it's simply because of that. And you didn't make trades at the trade deadline to address it. And I find that to be really disturbing. That's the only thing that I have to say.
And here's what I will say. It's not for lack of trying with this GM. He's
sampled in a ton of receivers.
Drafted Sky Moore. He drafted Rashee Rice. He just traded for Mecole Hardman. Okay. He has tried to infuse some talent into this wide receiver room. And the only guy that's somewhat reliable is Rashee Rice, and he's not getting enough snaps to be featured. Why? He's been reliable. He's shown some run after the catch ability. Get him on the field more and make your team better.
It also was tough because what seemed like the two best and most available receivers on the market were both in the AFC West. But I always thought that the division thing was dumb. It's dude, if you're gonna give me a better draft pick than anybody else is gonna give me for this player, I don't care if you're in my division. My team sucks anyway. But maybe I'm just not a football hardo in that way.
Anyways,
for what it's worth, I think a pissed off Kansas City goes into Vegas and railroads them. That's my personal thought.
Yeah, I think that the Raiders have been extremely resilient since firing Josh McDaniels.
It's a completely different energy in the room.
Yeah, they are re-energized now. I think Antonio Pierce is commanding a lot of respect, which is great. Antonio Pierce can't hold a candle to Andy Reid. They are going to find ways to get the ball to Travis Kelce, I think, a lot in this game. And their defense is going to make Aiden O'Connell look like a freaking folding lawn chair with how much they're going to smash him. So, yeah, I think this is a resounding 14-point victory at least for the Chiefs.
And MVS doesn't get one fucking look.
He doesn't deserve it.
No.
Run straight and shut the fuck up.
Buffalo at Philly. Fun game. Another to me, Philly passed the test already with KC. But obviously this is going to be an interesting game.
Though, the thing is they should have lost. The ball went right through MVS's.
Yeah, but that is true. But for a Super Bowl rematch, that was a great game, and it shows me that both of those teams can be on a course.
For sure. They could be.
They're you go into the other guy's house and you end up winning, but it's one play away anyway. That's pretty crazy. Yeah. So they're only giving Philly 3.5 at home, which I find to be interesting. With kind of how up and down Buffalo's been. 48.5, good over under. Shakir over Gabe. I can see him usurping him for the kind of like deep shot-ish role. I know he hasn't exactly been doing that. He's kind of been more in the middle of the field, but like I won't say deep shot role. I guess what I'm trying to say is if there is a third pass catcher in Buffalo now outside of Steph most of the time, Dalton Kincaid, and now not Gabe Davis anymore because he stinks. I think it's Shakir.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty crazy, man. Like, what I'm looking at here, has Gabe not received a target in 2 games? Is this a real thing?
He's been all cardio and 90% of snaps. I don't know if he hasn't received a target, but he didn't do shit with it. I know that. He goosed. Straight up goosed.
Bro, that's amazing.
He's a complete non-factor, and it's hurting the offense. And I think that was one of the biggest things that was hurting their offense is like just teams just not being afraid of him.
So no, he got 6. So his last 3 games, Cincy 2 targets, 0 catches. Denver 6 targets, 2 catches. That was for 56 yards. And then Jets 0 targets. And
Gabe Davis, Gabe Davis is MVS East. I said it. I said it.
Man, wow. Just so that's also very scary because that also happened on the back of Dorsey being fired. So whoever, I don't know who the freaking guy who's filling in now.
Once again, it's also the quarterback's coach stepping in.
That makes sense. I don't know the guy's name.
His name escapes me.
That dude, the interim.
It didn't change when he stepped in.
Yeah, like, and then to go to 0, that's a little alarming. I mean, I'm not gonna slam Shakir into any lineups just yet.
Are you dropping Gabe?
Gabe is a drop candidate because he's a good example of a landmine player. Way, way more name than game at this point. You know? Dalton Kincaid is the RB2. Or not, what am I talking about? The wide receiver 2, he's not a wide receiver.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's the second option there.
Yeah. I mean, look, and he's been the first option for 2 games because Steph Diggs has dudded twice in a row.
Yeah, he hasn't been too good. It's Steph Diggs though. He's got a long track record of being a great receiver. He's not going to be down too long.
He was double digit in literally every game until these last 2. So hopefully he's not going to be like on fire, quote unquote, in the wrong way. And this seems to be. And this is the only thing I'm going to talk about with Philly before we move on, because there really isn't anything to talk about with Philly. All the fantasy players are going to play. You just play them.
Yeah.
And that segues me, Andrew, into the only point that I was going to make about Philly, which I think is really the only point that I was going to make about Philly because there really isn't much to talk about from a fantasy perspective. This seems like it should be a smash start for Steph Diggs because of Philly's secondary and how they've struggled on the season. But I kind of want to revisit that narrative because the stats have been really bad, and they've definitely legitimately been bad for a good portion of the season. They were banged up early in the year. They were really getting lit up. I haven't really seen that the last few weeks, particularly after they added Kevin Byard.
Kevin Byard.
They've looked better, man. And obviously, like, not like the KC receivers are the world beaters of all world beaters, but Pat Mahomes sure as hell is. And, you know, they played well and refused separation on several routes. So, like, I guess what I'm trying to say is going forward into these playoff matchups, as you start to like try to sync up who's in and who's out on your team, I'm not so sure that Philly is the punching bag secondary that the green number next to them is.
I understand that. I feel that, sometimes you have to look at like maybe a 2 or 3 week sample size because the Denver run defense has been a lot better, but
it's always going to get skewed by getting just lit up
by the 8 touchdowns between Achane and Mostert back in whatever week that was, week 3, week 4, whatever it was. So yeah, you do, like, teams evolve over the course of the season, and you have to be able to be water, my friend, and adjust. So all that being said, nobody should bench Stephon Diggs.
No. I mean, I made the decision a long time ago that I was riding or dying with my boy. So we're here.
Yeah. You ready to pick this game?
Who you got?
Man, what's the spread? You said
3.5. It's tough. It's giving you just over a field goal.
For a team that's been struggling, that got to run into a freaking garbage pile New York Jets team.
Now, to be fair, they lit up that defense too, which is legitimate. I knew that that Buffalo's defense.
Yeah, like I said, we were saying before though, that defense finally gave up, I think, because they felt no hope with Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
And funny enough, we're talking about the only team that gave a loss to Philly. So NFL's going to NFL.
So what you thinking?
Dude, I don't know, man. I hate picking this game because I gotta pick the Eagles, and I'll pick the Eagles to cover it as well.
Yeah, look,
I hate to pick the Eagles, man, but
that is smart because they are a better team, and they're good at a lot of the things that Buffalo is bad at. But I don't know, man. Call this just like stupid vibes for no reason, but like I feel like a team needs to have a disappointing loss every so often on a schedule. Like, teams don't run tables. Philly just beat Kansas City in Kansas City. I think they might be in for an emotional letdown game. I'll take Buffalo. Give me the 3.5 for Buffalo.
Well, I hope that I am wrong and you are right in this one.
Like, and they shouldn't. If we're just doing like, if the game is played on paper, Philly's a much better team.
Yeah.
But I just think they stumble here. I don't know why. I just feel it.
You're right. I hope you're right.
So next game we got Baltimore at the Chargers in LA. 3.5 road favorites. Just 3.5 road favorites. Interesting.
Chargers suck, but they're really good at losing close games. They're really good at making.
They really do love that. They love it. Fire Staley. I'm on the train. I've been on the train.
We were on it before the season started, man.
I was on it before the season started. I didn't like his coaching decisions even last year when they were like somewhat decent, and now they suck. He really needs to go.
Question about this game. I want to ask you. What is your panic level on Austin Eckler? Question.
I don't think I'm panicking. I don't really have a panic level with Eckler. I don't expect the explosive games from him like I did when I drafted him. Like, he's a running back that gets a lot of volume and catches passes. So, and traditionally, right? I know we were coming off of a very bad game, but with running back the way it is, honestly, call me a bitch, but I'm just happy to have a healthy guy that can have some decent production. But no, I don't think he's gonna return what you wanted from him.
From the eye test, does it seem like he's just slowed down? Do you get that impression when you watch him?
I'll be honest, I don't have Eckler anywhere, so I haven't watched him that closely. But I mean, reviewing just the straight numbers on paper, it would seem that if you're seeing something from an eye test perspective, then it's backing it up. What are you seeing?
It seems like he's a little slow, and maybe that's just still coming off that injury early in the year that's still bothering him. It could be that. The team is very pass heavy.
He's not as efficient on the ground as he was, or as he has been traditionally.
I think the team wants to put the ball in Herbert's hands and just trust him. Problem is, their receiver room has gotten so injured that they're down to guys that are not trustworthy besides Keenan.
They only ran this fucker 10 times against Green Bay.
Yeah, it's Brandon Staley. Why would you not?
You're playing the Green Bay Packers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You have receivers that cannot catch the ball.
They couldn't pack a freaking bag lunch this year.
And you run Austin Eckler 10. He ran 6 a clip, Andrew. You run him 10 times? Dude, this man shouldn't even got on the fucking plane. Leave his ass in the frozen north. Are you kidding me? That's ridiculous.
Yeah, so Brandon Staley's a moron. Sometimes I think coaches do this thing where they're like, well, I'm going to zig while you zag. But sometimes you just need to play to your friggin' strengths. And when your strength is also a weakness of that opposing team, just lean into that. What the fuck?
It's like can we just have the job? I mean, dude, I will be the first one to admit to you, I like, there are a lot of random Monday morning quarterback schlubs that think they can coach a football team. I'm not one of those guys. I'd be fucking terrible. But even I would know, hey, offensive coordinator, we probably want to dial up some heavy runs in this game. But I digress.
Yeah. So Baltimore, okay. Charger side. Still going to start Eckler.
Yep. Still
Herbert is somebody I understand if you want to find a streaming option because the matchup looks very scary.
Yep.
But for me personally, Herbert has been very consistent. He's had one dud game, and that was against the Jets. I would still just say screw it. And personally, I'm still just going to leave Herbert in.
Unless you have an absolutely fire streamer, maybe you have a great backup quarterback.
Yeah.
There's a player that I play with that inexplicably has held on to Tua and Herb all year. So hey, this is that's why you do it, I guess, right? You can play the matchup in that scenario. But yeah, unless you have a smash player, Herbert's really good. There's a lot of boo birds coming out of the woodwork right now where they want to bury Herb and say that he was overrated, that he's this and that.
Well, this is something that I gotta say. Something I don't love about NFL fandom is a lot of apologists for certain players and then haters for other players and take lock with people. And I said this earlier on in the year many times. It's it's like that classic meme of oh my God, thank you. And then the girl sitting at the desk, and then the other one with the fat guy. And it's
flirting versus harassment.
Call human resources. It's not fair. Nobody in the world is going to blame Mahomes for MVS dropping a touchdown pass that would have won them the game. And at the same time, they're still going to be what the fuck, Justin Herbert, when Quentin Johnston drops a wide open ball.
Yeah, dude, MVS is Cuge's hero because if it wasn't for MVS, Cuge would have the biggest drop pass. But honestly, I think, yes, there are those fans out there because football fandom is ridiculous with the quarterback thing. I've always thought it was dumb that this is the ultimate team sport, but it's always when the team is winning, we glaze that quarterback, Andrew. We can't get enough. This guy is the fucking bomb. He's awesome. He's this and that. But then, you know, also when they're losing, they also trash on the quarterback. But there's more nuance to it than that. Like, anybody that watches the game enough is pretty sold on the fact that Herbert is a very gifted and accurate passer. Nobody can really question that. Now,
he's not a winner. His
that's what
team
everybody said. Well, you know, like
is not a winner.
If he stays in LA, we'll never know if he's a winner or not. Because he's not going to have
get the hell out of there. And you know, I made the point earlier with Tommy DeVito. Everyone wanted to, you know, suck his Italian sausage, and it's like he had a good game. He played a clean game. He had 3 touchdowns. The defense generated 6 freaking turnovers.
Oh.
So, okay, I don't want to go back to that.
It's become all about the quarterback. It's become all about the quarterback, and it really shouldn't. There's more to it. So on the Baltimore side, pretty simple. Mark Andrews, RIP.
Yeah.
Sorry about you. He's out. But I think you can start Zay again with confidence. You know, I think we're right back at it with Zay. I do think Isaiah likely is viable as a tight end, but I just think that Zay is the best pass catcher.
I am off the Isaiah Likely train, dude. I'm sorry. I've been down that road before.
I said viable, not great.
I don't think he's viable. I think that it's a trap. You're full on Admiral Akbar with him, in my opinion.
Yeah, he wasn't great the first time Andrews went down this year.
No, and there's been other times he's had like one decent game in his career without Andrews. Like, people have forgotten about Charlie Kolar, who's like kind of a decent prospect as well. So, not to say he's worth a pickup or anything, but it could be tight end by committee. I can see that.
Tight end by committee. Yeah. I think Zay is the most talented pass catcher, or the most trusted-ish pass catcher now.
And week one, when Mark Andrews was out, he actually was heavily featured. And we'd be a lot more confident in Zay Flowers right now if the refs didn't screw him on a bullshit offensive pass interference.
That was such a nasty touchdown too.
So yeah, I think that karma is going to wrap back around, and Zay will.
Karma is a guy on the Chiefs. Do you remember seeing that bullshit?
No.
You know what I'm talking about?
No.
You know what? It's better if you don't. It's better that you don't. Just continue living in bliss.
All right. So
I've got Baltimore. For
Odell Beckham, if he plays.
Yeah, you can throw him in there while he's still healthy for however long that lasts.
How many quarters of Odell do you get this game? That's the thing.
You know, I think even in the 3 quarters he plays, he can get, 7 or 8 catches.
All right.
Chargers defense is trash. Again,
they're
less than the sum of their parts. Because of their coaching, they are a worse defensive unit than they're really supposed to be. And they just lost Joey Bosa. So
this just feels like a Nelson Aguilar long touchdown kind of game.
It feels that way. And yet you can't do anything about that. You can't do it.
No. All right, so I'll just go first, dude. Baltimore. I don't even care what the spread is. Well, you said it was like what, 3.5?
Yeah, we both got Baltimore.
Baltimore, I think, dude.
Like sometimes we don't. In my mind, we don't even really have to pick these games because just like the way we talk about it. Is like you just kind of know where we're going with that.
Just make it official though, Baltimore. Yeah.
Yes, we are in agreement.
I don't know how many
on the slate. Monday night, after a long week of football, Natalie is going to absolutely hate how much time I spend not with our respective families, but with my football family this week. We got Chi-Town visiting Minnesota. 3.5 home favorites, 43 over under. Really, like, news-wise, like, looks like Donta Foreman's questionable with an ankle. You kind of got to stay tuned on that. You all in the future are already going to know what's going on probably by this point, but we don't really know what's going on there. But if Khalil Herbert has everything, I want him. If he doesn't, I don't really want to with the backfield in flux. Like, he wasn't super efficient or great when he had his touches. So that's kind of like how I feel about the running back room. Where are you at, Cheese?
There's no way to know what the Bears really plan. You got Khalil Herbert, first game off an injury, wasn't like super involved. Then you got Foreman hurt. You'd think they want Roschon to be involved on some level.
Roschon in.
It's a crapshoot over there right now, man. And I would rather stay away from Bears running backs right now if I could.
If like it didn't make it into my tankful kind of narrative up at the top here, but probably the worst move I made in all 3 of my leagues in fantasy was blowing fab on Roschon. I went actually heavy fab on him. I was I don't know why. I had a feeling, and it feels real bad now.
It happens to the best of us, man. It happens.
Fields is back. Fields is back, and he looks fine. So load him up.
Yeah, Fields and more, of course.
Yep. On the other side, Jay Jettas is questionable for this game. It's questionable.
Yeah.
I find that to be questionable because they have a bye week next week.
Yep.
So
and they're allowed to open his window next week. So, dude, as much as it's a weird thing because I'll ask you this question. I think I know how you're going to answer, but I'll ask you anyway. Do you think Justin Jefferson gives the Vikings a better chance to win a game?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
I mean,
so
even if he's not 100%, I mean, just like the threat of him being Justin Jefferson, just he's there are guys that are just intimidators just because they're out on the field.
Right. So if he really truly is healthy, just because you have a bye the next week, you still want to win this game. Jefferson helps you win the game. So it's a weird spot, but I think ultimately, if I'm going to predict, since we're doing this on a Tuesday night,
yeah, and we have no fucking clue.
We're
not going to know anything until later in the week.
If I had to make a guess, I'm going to say Jefferson is not back this week.
I think that too. I just don't think there's any reason not to hold him through the bye. I mean, obviously, yes, having him back would help them win this game, but they got to know. Josh Dobbs is exciting. I think he gives this team some juice, and they're definitely firmly in the playoff hunt. But I think that the fear of a potential re-aggravation with a bye week coming up, I feel like they probably would wait till week 14 to load him up. And frankly, I don't know if they really need him to beat Chicago. And I know that Minnesota has their own issues.
They don't need him, but he would help, obviously.
Yeah.
This game though, you go first this time.
Yeah. I will go first to pick it. I did want to add just one more thing. Alex Madison, from just a fantasy finish perspective, was fine. He still got plenty of volume, but he fumbled again. He's
not trustworthy. And the Bears defense was another example of a team that looks worse on the matchup screen, but they've been better lately.
They have been better lately. They were the ones that they got sweat, didn't they?
Huh? Yes,
they were the ones that got sweat. So obviously that's a huge boost. And
Marquez Sweat, yes.
And I think they're more exploitable through the air than on the ground. But I think even going forward, though, I think that Ty Chandler's looming. I think he's looming in this backfield.
I agree. And
doubt he's on any waivers, but if he's not, I might take a look, because regardless of, Madison just hasn't been very impressive. I don't think Ty Chandler is the second coming of Adrian Peterson by any stretch of the imagination, but you just can't have a guy that keeps putting the ball on the ground. Just can't do it.
No, because he doesn't help you win games at that point. He actively hurts you. You do know how many rushing touchdowns Madison has this year, right?
At one point, it was 0. I don't know if he ended up getting in at all.
It's 0.
It is still 0.
He has 3 receiving touchdowns, but he has 0 rushing touchdowns. Ty Chandler already has a rushing touchdown. Ty Chandler's a lot faster. He's a lot more explosive. I haven't seen him fumble.
Yeah, so everything you just said, Andrew, check down the line.
Yeah, Madison, he's not trustworthy in the NFL. He's not trustworthy in fantasy. He's just a struggle bus player.
If it wasn't for the T. Higgins disaster and for the fact that I basically traded him away in every league that I had him, Alex Madison would have been my biggest tankful this season, because I stuck my neck out for this dude, and I got chopped like a chicken in fucking July, dude. Bad take, tough take.
It was a lesson in talent. Excuse me. Matters a lot more. I think when opportunity in the offseason shows itself, especially with the running back position, there's always other options that are lying in wait that we might not be super aware of. I mean, a guy like Kyron Williams came out of nowhere this year. Absolutely. Zach Moss came out of nowhere this year. Like, these things, I know he's not really relevant now, but
yeah, well, no, it just goes to show you, like, and Kyron is a great example. Like, people picked up Cam because, he's going to get everything. Maybe he hasn't been the greatest player of all time, but he should have some talent. People just listening, you can't see me doing air quotes. I'm doing air quotes. He had some talent, so but he hasn't been great. He's going to be great because he gets everything this season. No, teams are going to go with, there's nothing if not running backs in the NFL. So they're going to go with who actually produces and who they trust.
Yeah. What have you done for me lately? And funny enough, you mentioned Cam, because he gets traded to the Vikings because they want somebody to be more of an explosive player for them.
Yeah.
And then they have to use Ty Chandler because he's more explosive. He might be they just don't like Madison that much.
They've been begging to get away from this guy. And the biggest, I think, indictment on Alex Madison's fantasy value now is the switch from Kirk Cousins to Josh Dobbs now has them in the scenario where
he can run.
Right, he can run too. So that takes away, and he doesn't throw to the running backs very much. So, like, even the little bit of, like, good thing that kind of came from Alex Madison's fantasy value, which was the pass catching, even that's, like, a bit nerfed now. So yeah, it's I was really out on him, but now I've talked myself into burying this man. Like, I think he's done. It's tough because I was in on him in the draft process, but I'm taking Minnesota. I think that, like, yes, they're coming off a loss, but Chicago is not good. They're at home. I just think that they are a better overall team top to bottom. Obviously, Justin Fields, I think, has the ability to make explosive plays and do something that could flip this game, but I trust Minnie more, and I think they're going to take it.
Yeah, this game is being a divisional game. It is always a bit harder to predict. The Bears came so close, man, to beating the Lions, and the Lions just show resiliency. Love the Lions. I'm kind of like they're my team that's not my team this year.
The Bears find a way to lose. They find ways to lose games.
But you know what? As cool as the Josh Dobbs story is, he lost a lot of games. That was Arizona. They are a worse team.
Ooh.
I think the Bears are going to pull one out here.
Ooh.
I'm going to take them. I'm going to take the Bears.
Writing that down. That's going to be a win for me. And yeah, that little half point can turn out to be big for you as well. Because 3.5 still gives you a little bit of breathing room on a close one. Well, cool, man. We ready to guarantee some touchdowns up in this beast?
I'm ready, man. I'm ready, and I'll go ahead and start. We'll get through this one quick. My running back to score a touchdown, my guaranteed at running back position, is going to be Raheem Mostert. He's ready to get back in the end zone.
How long has it been for him?
I don't know. Let's find out.
It can't have been that long, right? I feel like he's been great this year.
He's scored a lot this year. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, he had a touchdown literally on the other side of the bye. I'm gonna play the 2 chalk card on this one. I'm gonna make you pivot.
Well, then you pick yours.
Raheem with no Achane against even against the Jets. I still think that.
Well, the Jets' run defense hasn't been that good, so it's really their pass defense that's the great part. But fine, if you say that's too chalk, you pick something, and then I'll find another player.
Now, by the way, you have the right to give me the same treatment based on situation, but I've got Charbonnet as a guaranteed.
You got Charbonnet? Yeah, I like that pick.
Obviously, tough matchup, but I think getting everything, I think he's bound to just sneak it on in there. Which would that be his first touchdown ever?
Charbonnet? I don't know. It's a good question. But I got my guaranteed, actually. I am going to take, as my pivot will be Keaton Mitchell.
Okay, I like that.
Mitchell gonna break a big one against these dumbass Chargers who just seem to fuck up all the time.
I like that. I like that guaranteed. I think that it's random enough, but it makes sense for the reasoning behind it. At receiver, hooked on a Thielen.
Okay, yeah, it's been a bit since he scored.
Grabs a Tud.
Yeah, it's been a bit since he scored. It's a good spot for him. With the pivot, I end up having 2 players from the same team, which I don't love doing, but the Chargers defense sucks. Give me Zay Flowers, man. He's got to get in.
Oh yeah, that's a good bet. I like that. It's also a little bit of a bet hedge, right? Because it's like you got to figure one of these dudes is going to get a TD.
Yeah, I want to get them all, but maybe I'll get one. We'll see. Maybe both. We'll see.
The tight end was tough for me. I didn't really know what to do, but I think I like Komet to get one this week.
That was mine too, motherfucker.
Oh, dude, why are we doing this?
Two weeks in a row, we picked the same tight end.
All right. Well, we need pivots then.
Well, can I just go back to Trey McBride?
Yeah, go back to the well there. Yeah, I think it's definitely a good bet too. Njoku.
Yeah, that's a good one to pick too. All right, my man.
All right.
Those are our guarantees. We shall see.
We shall see. So now we are ready for the home team hustle.
Ooh.
I think this time I'm going to run through the summary, but I think I'm going to try to use my own voice as I kind of listen back to some of the episodes I've done. Me trying to do like the super crazy aggro voice. At least I feel like I can't always understand myself. So I'll still kind of try to get in character and get a little hype with it, but I'm not going to go too extra on the horse voice. So we'll see how that ends up working for us. But without further ado,
let's do it.
This week's home team hustle. Steph wasn't digging the vibe, and Dell gave PK the blue screen of death. You just can't trust these Hollywood hoes. Cheesy shocks the Chief, 112-93. America's team let us down. Stop me if you've heard that before. Miro's squad puts an absolute dud muffin against Kaysen's suddenly surging squad, who rode the once and future Bills running backs to victory, 118-60. Ew. You better chug some turkey gravy to wash that taste out of your mouth, Chris. Jax is back, and so is Bobby's team. Ridley me this, Bob. If you started Trevor Lawrence, would he still have gone off? Tyler took 2 losses on the week, with Joe Burr going down, making his Bengals stack extinct. Bob moves on, 126-90. Kyle's team is Tua dominant and just keeps rolling. Jeremy lost the matchup and lost K9. Maybe try to pick Gambit up off the waivers. He can probably score a touchdown for you and be man's best friend. Kyle rolls 125-103. And the last matchup is Juan v. Juan. Juan on Juan crime. And LJ absolutely violated DJ without his consent. Not even Reek's mighty effort could save him from the Najee and Curtis bomb combo. LJ gets a big win, 122-105. And Juan's feeble attempt at returning to the playoffs seems out of luck.
Well, there you have it. The recap of our league. And finally, nice to be in the winning column for one of those.
Yeah.
Now,
Did that feel good? It feels weird for me to narrate my own fail, but I do it. I'm here for it. Like, sometimes I win, sometimes I lose, but I'm always telling the news how it is.
Oh yeah, spitting truth bombs about our league. 2-9, let's go, winning streak. But all right, y'all. Good luck in week 12. Enjoy your turkey. Enjoy your stuffing. Hopefully, you don't get stuffed in week 12.
Enjoy the time with family. Obviously, football's on, and if you've listened to us for 2+ hours, my guess is you're probably going to be watching the football, but try to disconnect. Try to spend some time with the loved ones. They deserve your attention, too. Happy Thanksgiving, boys.
Peace out.